Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Junior Ranger program here along the Gaviota Coast. My name's Parker and I'm coming to you today from Gaviota State Park. Well, can you guess what we're going to be talking about today? I know there's just so many wonderful creatures and features of our state parks, but today we're going to be featuring our seabirds. Seabirds are very important to our ocean. They're a very important indicator species as well and help relate to the health of our overall ocean ecosystem. So I invite you to join me as we're going to discover all of the seabirds along our coast. Here is our first bird who inhabits the Gaviota Coast. Can you guess what type of species this bird is? Nice work! This bird is a seagull. Seagulls are the most common bird species found along the Gaviota Coast. The main species that we have is known as the western gull. These birds can live upwards of 25 years. The seagull mainly feeds on the surface of the water and does not tend to dive below the surface. Seagulls are what we call opportunistic feeders, which means that they will scavenge through trash and eat just about anything. Well, today it's low tide. And wait, here's our seagull. What do you think it's scavenging for today? Our pelicans along our pier is the seagull. They're the smaller birds. Now seagulls, they're scavengers, and they like to scavenge for different foods. You leave food out as you're picnicking on the beach, those guys are gonna come and attack it and get it. That's not really healthy for them because they might eat the plastics that we have. And they're eating people food too. They're not supposed to eat that food. Now, as a fun fact, Gaviota State Park is actually named after the seagulls because the Spanish word for seagull is gaviota. And so this park got its name from explorers who came to California 200 years ago when they made their way along the coast. They named this place Gaviota because the soldiers, they killed a seagull. Well, let's soar onto our next bird species. Can you guess what type of bird this is soaring in the sky? Well, nice work. This bird is the majestic brown pelican. Well, we got the chance to see those brown pelicans in action. Those are a pretty amazing species that can be found along the western coast of the United States. And as I mentioned, they can hold over 2 gallons of water in their pouch. And they can also dive for about 6 feet in the air down into the water to get their prey below. Let's soar onto the shore of the Gaviota Coast to see our next bird species. Well, I know this one is a little difficult to identify, but this bird is a long-billed curlew. These birds are about 2 feet in height and have a nice brownish color. They also have a long decurved bill that they use to capture their prey. A decurved bill is a bill that slopes downward. Well, and speaking of their diet, the long-billed curlew can typically be found consuming crustaceans, crabs, and other invertebrates who inhabit the Gaviota Coast. And did you know that the long-billed curlew is the largest shorebird in North America? Impressive, huh? The long-billed curlew is also a species of special concern. This means that their population is declining. This decline is primarily due to habitat loss along the California coast. This reminds me that the Gaviota Coast is the last remaining undeveloped coastline in Southern California. It extends for nearly 75 miles. We must do our part to conserve this precious coastline so that birds like our long-billed curlew can flourish well into the future. Well, let's take a look at one last bird species. Can you guess what bird species this is? Well, if you said that this was a cormorant, you got it right. More specifically, this is a Brandt's cormorant. We typically observe 3 species of cormorants along the Gaviota Coast: the Brandt's cormorant, the double-crested cormorant, and the pelagic cormorant. The cormorant is typically about 3 feet tall and has all black feathers. The Brandt's cormorant is identifiable based on the blue region on its throat area. Speaking of its throat, the cormorant typically eats fish, squids, and other invertebrates. This bird is a pretty good diver and can dive well over 40 feet, and sometimes they've been recorded to go even deeper. This next bird is not a shorebird, but we do commonly find it swarming around the pier. We've traveled just a little bit north of our beautiful state beaches along the Gaviota Coast to a park known as La Parisma Mission State Historic Park, and we came here to get an up-close view at some pretty amazing birds. Well, now if you listen carefully, you might be able to hear them. Well, they make short little chirping noises, and when we identify birds, we do that based on their chirps that they make. And by the chirps that I'm hearing, they kind of sound like a chirp, 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 chirp. Well, based on that, I know they're this bird right here. This here is a cliff swallow. Yep, these cliff swallows, they're a migratory bird species, which means they only live here part of the year. The rest of the year, they migrate down to Mexico and all the way down even to South America. But they come up here every year to La Parisma Mission, and they happen to build some nests. Unlike other birds who build their nests in trees, these birds right here, they build them somewhere special. So let's go ahead, we're gonna look up. I want you to see if you can notice anything. Well, do you see those little, kind of like a beehive looking thing? Well, those up there, those are their nests that they make. I actually have one of their nests up here so we can take a closer look at it. These nests are made out of mud, similar to like our mission walls. They're made from adobe. But these nests, they're made from mud. They're not made from grasses or anything like that, or sticks. And so they just take their beaks and they'll go and gather some clay from the local deposits, and then they'll form it together. And you can see all the little globs of mud, all that clay that's in this nest. But this is their nest that's up in the eaves of the buildings right here at La Parisma Mission. Now they come in the middle of spring and they'll be here through the middle of summer. And they come here for one important thing. It's because they want to build their nests, but they also come here to lay their eggs. This is a swallow egg from one of the eggs that has hatched. But swallow eggs, they kind of have little brown dots on them and they're white in the background. But these are their eggs, and that's one of the main reasons they come here, to build their nest. And then as soon as the babies are big enough, they're just gonna go ahead and they're gonna fly back with their parents down to South America. We've got some of those birds flying up here, which is pretty exciting. Well, a fun fact about these swallows too is that the same birds will go back to the same nest every year. If you take a look up in the sky, let's see if you can identify any of these swallows. Do you see them fluttering? Yep, there they go. Yep, they're just fluttering up in the sky, flying around, going in and out of their nests. At Gaviota State Park, we commonly view birds perching on the pier. Let's take a closer look at our pier. Now that you are experts at identifying birds, can you identify any of the birds perching on the pier? There are also some things to remember when viewing birds along the Gaviota Coast. To begin, remember to keep a safe distance from birds. We do not want to disturb them, as birds are an important part of our ecosystem and serve as a primary indicator species to the habitats, especially in our marine protected area, such as what we have at Gaviota State Park. The second thing to remember is to keep track of your trash. Birds, such as our seagulls, are opportunistic feeders and will feed on trash and other pollutants. Do your part to help these birds by picking up trash and even using reusable containers and water bottles to limit the pollution that enters our oceans. And lastly, remember that we are visitors to the shorebird habitats. Take only pictures and leave only footprints. I hope that you all have enjoyed exploring the diversity of marine birds who call the Gaviota Coast their home.